Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
I'm Gary Simon. I'm your worship associate this morning. I would like to welcome all the folks from First Unitarian Society of Westchester to our service today. Would you please rise and body your spirit and join us in singing hymn number 1020 in the Teal hymnal.
Good morning. My name is Chris Fenton, and I am and I am the treasurer of the Board of Trustees. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Hudson Valley. Whether you have been in this congregation a decade or more, or this is your first time visiting, we welcome you. Whatever the faith and traditions of your past, we welcome you. Whatever your theological stance, we welcome you. Whoever you are and whomever we love, or you love, we welcome you. Whatever your heritage, we welcome you. We respectfully acknowledge the territory on which our church building sits as the ancestral homelands of the Munsee, Lenape, and Wappinger peoples. We have one announcement today. The Inclusivity team invites you to attend a valuable full-day workshop on youth mental health first aid here at the Fellowship on Saturday, October 19th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. This program will be led by two social workers from the Westchester Jewish Community Services through funding from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration in support of our Fourth Fridays program. WJCS is eager to provide this training to adults who work with youth, and they liken it to CPR. Many of us are trained in CPR, hoping we can bridge the gap for a person in need until true professionals arrive to save their life. With mental health first aid training, we'll learn ways to recognize crisis signs and understand how to connect a young person with the help they may need. Pre-registration is required. Please see Margie to sign up. For the most up-to-date information on these topics and others, please refer to our weekly e-newsletter and check our website frequently. And please join us for conversation after the service. If you are present in the sanctuary, please join us for coffee and conversation in Fellowship Hall. If you're watching the live stream, the link for our Zoom coffee hour can be found in the Saturday reminder in your email. If you are just recently joining us and would like to receive our weekly e-news, please email us at ucroton@gmail.com with your name, and we will make sure you are added to our e-news list. Also, please remember to silence your cell phones at this time. Once again, we welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Hudson Valley.
Our guest speaker today is our own UUCHV member. You know her and you love her, Betsy Tomic. Betsy has been a member of our congregation for 12 years or so. She served on the board as well as other committees. Her son, Shaquan, was an active member of our RE program. Betsy is also on the board of the UU Ministry for Earth, which is the source of our service today. Betsy.
Thank you. We gather and open with the words of religious naturalist Ursula Goodenough. Blessed be the tie that binds. It anchors us. We are embedded in a great story of biological evolution, despair, and the elegant process of mutation and selection. And this means we are anything but alone.
We're now going to ring our bell 8 times to honor our 8 Unitarian Universalist principles. Thank you, bell ringing team. Our chalice lighting today is from Nature Needs a New Pronoun by Robin Wall Kimmerer. Objectification of the natural world reinforces the notion that our species, mankind, is somehow more deserving of the gifts of the world than the other 8 million species with whom we share the planet. Using it to refer to non-humans absolves us of our moral responsibility and opens the door to exploitation. What would it feel like to be part of a family that includes birches, beavers, and butterflies? We'd be less lonely. We'd feel like we belong. We'd be smarter. By learning from other species, we learn humility. As we light this chalice, we honor the more than human teachers who inspire how we might live. Now, if you would please join me in saying our unison affirmation, which is listed in the program. Inspired by love, our mission is to seek our true nature, connect deeply and openly, and act for justice.
Okay, so it's time for all ages. Today I'm going to emphasize the all ages. I'll ask our child, Maggie, to step up. And could someone else from all ages want to step up and join her?
Sure.
Gary, thank you. Okay. Anyone
Come on,
else?
Sydney.
Okay. So I'm going to talk to you one at a time. Maggie, can you stand up, please, right here in the center? Okay, Maggie. Imagine if you were walking around on the earth and you could talk to something in nature that is not human. It could be another live species, such as a shark or a coyote, or it could be a plant, such as a maple tree or sunflower, or a simple weed. Or it could be something in nature that's not alive, such as dirt, or river water, or a turkey feather, or the Rocky Mountains. What would you pick to talk to? A hamster. Okay, so I'd like you to be the hamster, and I'm gonna interview you, okay? So, how long have you been alive? 7 years. What's the best thing that ever happened to you? As a hamster, what's the best thing that ever happened to you? Going to Disney World. So you went to Disney World as a hamster? Okay, how about this one? Does anything make you sad? So you're in your cage, you get food, you get people to pet you. Does anything make you sad? Miss Hamster? No? You're always happy. Good. Do you have anyone you would call your friends? Who's your friend? Are you lonely? Okay. What's your opinion about humans? They pet you too much. Does anyone in the congregation have a question for this hamster? Miss Hamster? Oh, I forgot to ask, what's your name? Taco. Does anyone have a question for the hamster? Yeah. What's your favorite food? It's corn syrup. Do you know that? Corn syrup. Oh, yeah. Anyone else? Yes?
How do you play?
Flipping over. Okay. All right, thank you, Miss Hamster. Gary, could you stand up, please?
He's never been shy.
So Gary, imagine you were walking around on the earth and you could talk to something in nature that's not human. What would you pick?
Stand of trees.
Stand of trees.
Birch.
Birch trees. Okay. So what state do you live in? Stand of birch trees.
Years.
In New York State. How long have you been alive?
Oh, about 80 years.
80 years, wow. And the hamster was only like 7 years. What's the best thing that has happened to you?
Oh, rain, light rain. Cools me on a summer day, cleans me, and I feel all good right afterwards.
Does anything make you sad?
Yes, when the weather turns cold, I get a little droopy and my leaves fall off. And I know that I'm going to be in a long slumber.
Do you have anyone you would call your friend or friends?
Yes, the apple trees that are right next door.
What's your opinion about humans?
Yes, they're all right. They come around, they're awfully loud sometimes. They come around with these loud machines, and all the beautiful grass that's below me, and you know, but I can put up.
Does anyone in the congregation have a question for this stand and birch trees?
I don't have a question, but I would like to thank you for birch beer. One of my favorites.
You know?
Anyone else?
How do you feel about birds?
Birds. Well, let's just say it's another reason I like the rain.
Okay, thank you, Save the children out. Don't care.
Now's the time for joys and sorrows. We come together in community to share with one another, to support one another, and to celebrate with one another. We bear sacred witness to each other in this honored ritual. As we begin, we know that there are both great sorrows and great joys in our world that must be acknowledged as well. We light our first candle to honor those in pain, victims of violence and war and oppression all around our world. We light a second candle because we understand that amidst all of that pain, there is also celebration and joy in our world. We honor that joy. We honor that joy and sorrow are woven together. For some of us here today, this has been a week of life-changing joy that needs to be lifted up in this worship. For others, this has been a time of deep pain and sorrow that needs to be shared to make the burden lighter. If this has been such a time for you, I invite you to come forward to light a candle and to briefly tell us your joy or sorrow. You may also raise your hand in silent acknowledgement of your joys and sorrows, and we will light a candle for you. So, if you would like to come up to light a candle, please do so.
So I have a few best friends. 2 months ago, one of them was diagnosed with ALS. So I asked that we light a candle for Margaret. A week and a half ago, one of my other best friends, Mario, underwent quadruple bypass surgery. He never had anything wrong with him. He's healthy, he's thin, he eats well, and he's doing fine. So it's a sorrow and a scare, but it's a joy that he's home now and he'll be fine. Thanks.
I'm Carl Grimm. I want to celebrate the passing of our former member, Dick Joseph. He left for Boulder, Colorado about 7 years ago. He left the fellowship. He was a jazz musician, exceptional, and he used to play the clarinet here, and he closed his eyes and really bellowed out a tune as part of our music program. And he's missed. He's helped with a number of fellowship real estate issues in the past, too. So, Dick Joseph.
Hello, I'm Pat Krugman. I would like to light a candle of sadness, relief, commemoration at Al Raymond's passing. We were friends for 9, almost 10 years. We played canasta and Scrabble together endlessly. He'd come over on a Sunday morning or a Saturday morning. We'd start off with breakfast, play Scrabble, have lunch, play canasta, and whoever won, we had a last canasta hand to try to even up the score. I'm going to miss him very much. He had a really rough last couple years and was not the same Al that I remember from the 8 years before. It's interesting that he passed almost a year later after John Eigner, who was also a canasta player. Very, very different styles. I had the great fortune of learning from both of them. I looked for canasta players about 4 months ago in the greater area. Everyone said, no, we're learning Mahjong. So I said, okay. So I learned Mahjong. Now, in the last 4 weeks, I taught a canasta class at the Croton Library to all my Mahjong friends. So we are reopening game day on Thursday from 10 to 2, every Thursday starting September 5th, in John and Al's honor. Please come.
So some of you may have attended the spring auction that we had here to raise money, and one of the items was Michael Schwartz offered us a tour of his different gardens, many of which are filled with wildflowers and different native species, and then a lovely lunch afterwards. And we did that yesterday, and he put out quite a spread. It was a lovely afternoon.
Hello, I'm Terry. As many of you already know, Chris and I became grandparents. Brian and Allie had a baby boy named Nathan, called Nate, and he's adorable, and it's amazing to fall in love again. I thought I was done with that.
Hi, my name is Sherry. I want to light a candle for the very large crabapple tree that was blown over on my house from my neighbor's yard about a month ago in that wild storm. But the sorrow is that I'm going to miss the pink blossoms that fall all over my yard in the spring, and the fact that I am not awakened now with the sound of songbirds. That tree was the home for a gazillion Carolina wrens, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, so I'm going to miss that tree.
I'm Nora. I just spent the last 3 weeks with my daughter and my adorable granddaughter, traveling to Indiana, to Vermont, back here to Indiana again, and then home. We found out that my next grandchild, who's going to be born at the end of January, is a boy. What my lesbian daughter and daughter-in-law are going to do about that, how they're going to deal with their first experience of a boy, that's up to them, but it's a joy.
Hey, so I'm Ann Pearl. I will get on the grandchild train once again as well. Bruce and I are expecting our third grandchild, also a boy, in February.
I lit 1, 2, 3 final candles for all those joys and sorrows that remain unexpressed, and for those outside of our walls who are searching for a place to bring the wholeness of their lives and be received with love.
Okay, this is our time of meditation, followed by a prayer. Well, no, it's not going to be followed by a prayer, but it's followed by music. These are words by Cedric Wright. Consider the life of trees. Aside from the axe, what trees acquire from man is inconsiderable. What man may acquire from trees is immeasurable. From their mute forms there flows a poise in silence, a lovely sound and motion in response to wind. What peace comes to those aware of the voice and bearing of trees? Trees do not scream for attention. A tree, a rock, has no pretense, only a real growth out of itself in close communion with the universal spirit. A tree retains a deep serenity. It establishes in the earth not only its root system, but also those roots of its beauty and its unknown consciousness. Sometimes one may sense a glisten of that consciousness, and with such perspective, feel that man is not necessarily the highest form of life.
The reading today is by Ursula Goodenough from her Sacred Depths of Nature. Our great story of biological evolution tells us of the sacredness of life, the astonishing complexity of cells and organisms, and the vast lengths of time it took to generate their splendid diversity, and the sacredness of the planetary matrix within which life itself is embedded. Reverence is the capacity to perceive the sacred, to harbor the sense that there are entities larger and more important than the self, to which one accords awe and gratitude, and to which one develops obligation and commitment. Theistic persons traditionally offer reverence to a supernatural deity or deities, while non-theistic religious naturalists are called to revere the whole enterprise of planetary existence, the whole and all of its myriad living beings as they catalyze and replicate and mutate and evolve and synergize as ecosystems. Reverence also endows us with humility and hence defeats our susceptibility to self-absorption. Now please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn number 391 in the Gray Hymn. 391.
Hello. The Unitarian Universalist Ministry for Earth offers monthly worship resources that are earth-centered and focus on climate justice. I have chosen one of these to focus today on eco-morality and virtues of religious naturalism. A religious naturalist orientation is a form of spirituality and philosophy that combines the ideas of naturalism with a spiritual outlook that emphasizes people's relationship to nature and the importance of ethical behavior. Naturalism is the natural world that the natural world is all there is, and everything can be explained through natural causes and laws. I personally have always been drawn to the humility concerning my place on earth. The focus in this service is not that you should be humble. My hope is to assist you to consider a virtue of humility, which is an outcome of reverence, awe, and wonder. Humanistic religious naturalism promotes an ethical life in which one thinks and acts from a larger perspective than one's own egoistic interests. A life that affirms the worth and dignity of each person. A life filled with wonder and reverence for the extraordinary magnificence of the natural world and human creations. It includes gratitude for the gift of life itself and the capacity to enjoy it. I'm going to share a poem, Homage to Rocks. And it communicates a personal religious naturalism better than any words I would write. So let me read it to you. It was written by Anne-Marie Four. I always wanted to be the exuberant bird, soaring, swooping down, then elevating, dancing on a breath. I always wanted to be the bird, not the rock. But the rock is reverent, quiet and still, patient and humble, grounded and able to hold the warmth of the sun. The rock allows another's resting, a stool, a grave's guardian, a smooth bed for sunbathing, a home for lichen and moss and mussels growing, a shelter for snakes and lizards and marmots hiding. A rock possesses willingness to be cracked open by tree roots, to clench clusters of delicate columbines in their fists, to nestle glaciers in their cavernous bosoms, and even to be smashed apart by a hammer's insistence to reveal a galaxy of crystals within. A rock is stepped over, kicked, even tossed into streams, ground into powder, chiseled and mortared, tumbled and polished and tucked into pockets. Yet it never refuses its gifting. They've fallen victim to avalanche and dynamite, been revered in Rushmore and the Pietà, immortalized in music and movies by Elvis and Flintstones and Rocky Balboa. From huggable borders creating alluvial fans, to heartstones adorning my prayer table. From monumental sculptures to the gravel crushed beneath our feet, I honor you, O humble rocks. A light-headed part of me will always long to be wings dancing in the wind, but today I see the rocks before me and bless them, for they possess an immortal gift of presence, of solid serenity, of both holding on to self and being given away. O divine rock, throne of belonging, I place myself in your being. So, I have 3 questions to ask you. You're welcome to not respond, but if anyone would like to respond, they can. The first question is, how do we open our capacity to perceive the sacred? And I will say, my answer is, when I float on my back and gaze at the sky in a natural body of water, feeling the waves beneath me and just staring up, and it's silent because the water is on my ears. That opens up my capacity to perceive the sacred. Would anyone like to share something that opens up their capacity to perceive the sacred? Terry.
My daily walk with Haley in the woods,
Mm.
and just breathing the air and seeing the trees, and just seeing a dog, like all good things, just this wonderful being.
Thank you. Nora?
Spending time with a toddler who sees everything as new and absolutely fascinating, including gravel.
Joanne?
Recognizing that there's a lot of interdependence in nature. Trees, birds, they eat the insects, they eat the berries, and we depend on them. So
Yeah, thank
for
you.
shade and
Thank you for sharing. All right, I have a second question. Oh, Pat, go ahead.
Yes, I have a very modest rock collection, usually gathered when friends go traveling to Iceland or wherever they go, and they'll bring me back a lot that fits in an air spot, small. And one of the things that I love about rocks is that this rock could have come from a planet.
Yeah.
It could be from a lava on the inside of the earth. It could be on the mantle of the earth or the crust for years and years and years. And it could have been moved by glaciers.
Yeah.
And I love that sense of there's a wonder of where it's been, where it came from, and where it's going. And I like that.
Thank you. Let me go on to my second question. How has your relationship with nature led you from self-centeredness? Anne?
Can I just make a suggestion that
Yeah.
our friends watching online
Oh.
can't hear anything that's happening
Oh, okay.
here? They do get the closed captioning, but it would be better if you could go up to the microphone.
Thank you. I'm sorry,
No,
Hastings
I should've said
people.
something sooner.
How has your relationship with nature led you from self-centeredness? And I will answer first by saying, I've always done this, but lately, I live in an apartment that overlooks the Hudson River. So I gaze at the Hudson River more lately, and I think about all the people and animals who have come before me and utilized the river for food, for water, for transportation. And since it's called the Hudson River, I think about Henry Hudson going up the river with his boat. But I also think of everyone before, humans before, and I think of all the animals and the birds and the rivers, and so it just makes me feel not self-centered, makes me feel small, but small in a good way, because I'm part of this huge universe of time. Would anyone else like to share about nature leading them from self-centeredness? And unfortunately, they have to come up to the microphone now. Can you come up to the microphone? Michael, come on up. You can go next.
When we drove up the Pacific Coast Highway and you watch the Pacific Ocean crash along the rocks and you realize it can crush your tiny human bones. And maybe we should be a little nicer to the planet.
Thank you.
I turned part of our lawn into a wildflower and native pollinator garden. It's a lot of work, but I have a lot of new friends, and it's full of life that normally would not, they would not have that opportunity, and especially the monarch butterflies that have come back after several years of not seeing them.
Nice. Maria, would you like to say something? Anything? I noticed you raised your hand before. Yeah.
Good morning. I just want to say that everything that I've heard so far helps me to come out of my self-centeredness, which I rely on really to tap into. And that's where my genuine, honest, and sincere self is. And to find that and appreciate the, I lost the word, energy that interconnects every single bit of what we have in our universe. It's all energy. It's all interconnected. And so I'm grateful for that. Thanks.
Thank you. As humans, we have inherent worth and dignity, and we're called to humility. There's a humility in learning from other species. From what species do you or we learn? A year ago, from my little balcony, I looked down around dusk, and a coyote came out with their little cubs who were rolling on top of each other like this. And I just learned about the love of siblings and parents for their children. Does anyone else want to share anything they've learned from other species? Joanne, why don't you come up? Pat, why don't you come up? I'm sorry, Hastings, I can't ask you to speak, but think about it. Jack, you want to come up? Okay.
Yesterday I was on a bird watching walk, and I saw a large hawk, and I saw a smaller kind of a hawk, and chasing the large hawk away. And it was trying to give a message that, don't prey on me, like I'm, don't pick on me. Mm-hmm. And I think the message was successful. So.
No bullying allowed in the bird kingdom.
I am a former preschool teacher, and one of my favorite plants is the burdock. It's where we learned how to make Velcro. It has these wonderful hooks, and you used to come out from a walk in my grandmother and grandfather's backyard, and you'd have what we called cockaburs all over the bottom of our pants, and you'd have to pick them off one by one. As a preschool teacher, it saved me from tying many, many, many shoes.
Yes, Leah and Michael.
Well, I haven't learned this firsthand, but from apes in Africa, wherever they live, if their parents get killed from poaching or whatever, humans have to go take care of their infants, because if infants, baby apes, aren't taken care of and mothered, they will grow up to be crazy and, maladjusted. And so I found this very interesting in relationship to my upbringing.
No questions allowed at coffee hour. Michael.
During an ice storm, I saw a tiny bird. It was a golden crowned kinglet.
Go closer to me.
It was a golden crowned kinglet, and its feet were frozen on the deck, on a table on the deck. And I went out and I freed it from the ice in my hands. It's a tiny bird. And I brought it inside to warm up. And it flew up onto very expensive window treatments and was sitting there while I was at the computer watching, and then he decided he wanted to go back outside and didn't know, it was flying against the window. So I cupped him again in my hands and let him go outside. And the following spring, he came back to visit me.
Can't beat that, right? So to close my homily, I will explain, my chosen title. So the title of this is Rock, Paper, Scissors. So I read to you about a rock. Gary spoke about trees, which is the source of paper. And, okay, what could the scissors be? Well, I hope our time together today will make you cut through the myth that man is superior to all things on earth, and you'll go forward with humility. Thank you. And now we will sing hymn 1003, Where Do We Come From, in the teal hymnal.
Each week we make an offering from the bounty we are blessed to enjoy. We do this in the spirit of love, generosity, aware that we have benefited from those who have gone before, those who in their turn gave generously. Our offering today will be shared with the UUA Annual Program Fund to help meet our fair share contribution. For more information on that, please visit the website uua.org. You can make your donation in several ways. Present here, you may give cash or a check in the plate as it comes by. From your homes, you can make a donation via credit card or PayPal using the links provided in the e-newsletter or by visiting the website uchudsonvalley.org. People from FUSW should refer to the scoop for donation information. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
When I heard the subject of nature, Betsy asked if maybe I'd like to sing a song I wrote, so I'm happy to share A Perfect Moment in Time, but the delivery is anything to be guessed because I have a bit of a respiratory thing in case you haven't noticed. So it's called Perfect Moment in Time. You and I, beside a mountain stream, the sunlight in your hair, we realize this is not a dream. We breathe the mountain air, the sound of water tumbling, the scent of the pines, and suddenly there comes the feeling it's a perfect moment in time. Here we are in this wonderland, no future and no past. I see you and I take your hand, for this moment will not last. We've always been together forever, here and now, at this mountain stream, with your hand in mine, and I tell you I love you so, and I'll always be beside you in this perfect moment in time. I've always been beside you in this perfect moment in time.
Please join me in the dedication of the offering. The words are in the order of service. May these gifts and the work of our hands and hearts give power to all we stand for as a community of faith. Extinguish the chalice. Again, the words are in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of the community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Please note the centerpiece of the food table at coffee hour is rocks. We close our time together, open to the sacred and enriched by the teachings of more than human species. We leave here today more humble, and we give thanks for this community and the reminder that we are embedded in a great story of biological evolution. We are anything but alone.
That's right.